Good evening, everyone. Welcome to Tier 2 for round number 6 for today for ERL Tier 2 at the Circuit of the Americas of COTA, uh, Texas, obviously, based in Austin. So, a United States Grand Prix. We are back in the Americas for the second round, for the second time this season. I believe it is. I'm pretty sure it is. Let me just double check that actually. Is it the second race we've had in Texas this season? Where's the calendar? I always get lost where the calendar is, which probably gonna save it actually next week. To be honest, onto my phone probably. So, yep, it's the second time we're in the American region. Obviously, last week we had Canada. This week is COTA. And it's the final race, I believe. Probably we've got before Christmas. Tier 3, obviously, tomorrow. Of course, which ultimately, I hope, goes well for the Tier 3 lads. But today is the final Tier 2 race before Christmas until the 9th of January when we return with Spain round 7. So the cars are leaving the pit garages here at COTA for for their outlaps, and it's Unsainted. He is the first driver out on a hot lap. In terms of whether anyone's on a qualifying ban because of racing from a higher tier, I'm not entirely sure. I don't think there probably is actually today. So I think all 17 drivers, maybe Vin Porsche, might be the only one who I'm thinking of. But I think even he does tier 2 anyway. So pretty sure all 17 drivers are okay. We'll have to see. But we got quite a number of drivers who will be racing tonight, nonetheless, and hopefully be a decent qualifying session. So I'm going to go through the Tier 2 stats, or basically how things are shaping up, well, as we are now at the midway part of the season. And it's Vigo, your championship leader, with then 111 points, followed by Nix, who is on 80. Then we got Storms on 62, Girthquake on 61, and Limited Danny on 58. So that is your top 5. Not to mention, it is actually pretty close between 5th and 11th. Only, 17 points separating Kotos and Limited Danny. So a very close fight between them drivers in terms of for the championship position. Any one of them could really move up the order very, very quickly. Only takes one good result or one bad result, really. And in terms of the constructors, AlphaTauri, unsurprisingly, leading that, followed by Alfa Romeo, then 188 to 140, 120 for McLaren in third. Fourth is Ferrari with 107, only 2 points ahead of Mercedes on 105, based in fifth. So that is your standings for the top 5 in both drivers and constructors then, as we move then towards this middle part of qualifying. And Girthquake Unsainted is on his first lap, his first flyer, and is coming into the heavy braking zone. So, not entirely sure with corner names around here, because, there's not many. It's not really a historical venue. There's a lot of corners, actually. I think there's about 21 of them, almost. There is a lot of corners around here, but just not really entirely sure what they're called. Obviously, a lot of them have reminiscence to a lot of past corners around this track. You know, I kind of would describe this track as a bit of a crossbreed between India. If you remember what India was like the Indian Grand Prix circuit that ventured onto the calendar between 2011 and 2013. Then a bit of Istanbul, you could say, and a bit of Silverstone. That is the three sort of circuits I would personally compare this track to. And currently, then Unsainted 134, 35. Then it is Arbegduri going on to a 133.5, so 2 seconds clear. So what can Owen do? Here comes Owen around the middle part of the lap. So Owen I've not actually seen race, to be fair, in this league, so he's quite a new lad, I presume, or someone who hasn't really raced much and currently puts himself into the top 5, only to be momentarily displaced. So we're still waiting on a number of drivers on their outlap. So currently it's Arbegduri on pole position by over a second. He's got a very handy gap then, as Litz coming through the middle sector, currently looking decent. Looks like he's got decent car underneath him. Looks like the car's going where he wants it to go. So this is the bit of the Istanbul part of the track, through this long right-hander, then into a quick left. Be careful not to ram the car out too wide, easy to pick up track limits there. Same on the exit of the final corner as well, and on the entry. And puts himself P2 for now with a 134.3, so there is still a very sizable gap between Arbegduri and the rest of the field. Pretty much over a second is the difference. What can Robbo do? So Robbo, not sure if this is Robbo who has all the qualifying problems. When he qualifies good, you know his race is going to end badly. I don't think it is the same Robbo. That's Robbo F16 or something. This is Robbo 116, sorry. So different Robbo. Both drive in the same league, hence it can be confusing, which can be a bit, inconvenient for me as a commentator when you have to remember two Robbos. Is that the Robbo that raced, last week and had that issue, or is that Robbo that didn't race? And also, do apologise for last week in terms of how the stream ended. Wasn't the best way, where we had to abandon the race due to technical issues within the game, which can happen, unfortunately. Hopefully, touch wood, that doesn't happen tonight, and hopefully we can have a race-free, or race-free, that would be a bit odd, a lobby-free, without error issue sort of thing. You get the gist what I'm trying to say, I hope. And Robbo goes P2. Still over a second, though, or just under, a second, between Litz and Arbegduri, who's actually deciding he's not happy with his gap already. He's deciding he wants to go out and do even more damage to the rest of the field and go even faster, potentially. But here comes Pringles then. Through the final sector he goes, obviously already almost out of battery, so this cannot surely be a genuine lap. We'll see if he commits to it. He is going to commit to it. So, yeah, all pretty much drained the battery already and comes across the line. Unsurprisingly, is in the top 10, but unsurprisingly nowhere near the pace. With that much battery, you are certainly not going to be on it. So, we've got two more cars to go. We've got Vigo and Speedy Bullet, who still haven't set a lap time, plus Storms, who's in the pit. We've got Danny and Vim Porsche both out. So Vigo's going to be the first one of these two. Both of them starting their lap very close proximity. I'm going to get rid of the tyres just so you can see both their laps, and we'll see their tyre. Well, we know they're on the softs, so we don't really need that tyre graphic anyway. So anyway, we'll see what Vigo's doing, and then we'll just shoot back to Speedy Bullet, see if he is really the Speedy Bullet that he proclaims. Anyway, through then the first sector, 25. What has Speedy Bullet done? I have no idea. So that's helpful. Anyway, we'll soon see. Vigo then will follow through, because he is the first one of the two. So Speedy Bullet might get a little bit of a tow down the straight. Wouldn't be getting much. I don't think really the toe works if you're not outside that, well, inside the 1 second range. Really, you have to be within that 1 second to be picking up a toe. Might be getting still a bit of a distant slipstream, because obviously, the way a Formula 1 car works, it punches a huge hole in the air. In real life, you'd get a slipstream from about 3 to 6 seconds. So that is the real life, sort of, well, that's why in real life, teams look for that gap on the track to not get the slipstream or not be in the dirty air. So they look for about that 6 second gap. Obviously, in Q1, it's near impossible due to the fact there's too many cars, usually on the track at one time to go and do that. But it's a good lap time by Vigo, and he puts himself into then touching distance of then the top two. Only then 10 thousandths of a second missing out on pole. Speedy Bullet also had a decent lap there too. Goes into top 6 though, but is a second off the pace. Almost exactly. So, yeah, a second down for Speedy Bullet, but it is Vigo then in P2 with that then lapped within 10 thousandths of a second. And Vigo was, I suppose, one of the drivers. Now, what can Storms do? Storms is currently P, I think I said 3 in the championship, if I'm correct in saying. I'm going to double check that. Pretty sure I said P3. Yep, P3 in the championship. Currently ahead of Girthquake and Limited Danny only by 4 points, separating them three. So it is a quite close battle still for even third. There's a very, very close battle going on there, down to basically 11th, less than 20 points separating them all. So what can Storms do, who currently sits third in the championship? Let's see how his lap is developing then. A little bit of a, well, taking a very tight line actually, not using all the track width at all, and the same with the next corner, but isn't actually using any battery. So my eagle eye is pretty much saying he's not on a lap here, so we can write this lap off. We'll stay with him though, because unless we see Arbejduri actually doing a lap, which he is, and he's 53 thousandths up on his provisional best. So for Arbejduri, he's already done a 1:33.5. How much more can he improve by? Can he get into the 1:32s? We haven't actually had, I don't want to say not had impressive lap times, but personally I would have thought we would have been closer to the 32s by now. And we're coming into the final 5 minutes of qualifying, and no one has set a 32 so far, so we may not get the 32s tonight, which is a bit of a shame, but it is what it is. That is life for you. As Arbejduri goes right out to the exit curb then, and is he going to extend his provisional pole lap time? Yes, he is, by about a further 10th and a bit, so about a 10th and a half he's extended it by, which certainly will help him. Can he also get around and back out to do another lap time? We'll have to see. Right, we're going back to Storm. Storm's actually set the lap time, a 35.2. We'll see if he's going for it again. So what is he saying in the middle sector? Is still over a second down, so even worse on this lap. Which, yeah, isn't something you'd want that to be said. Anyway, right, Lucky Eggs, is he on a lap? Nope. But Robbo is not on a lap, comes across the line and moves himself up into the top 4 onto a 33.9. So that's a decent lap time from Robbo. So Witty is coming in on an in-lap. Lucky Eggs is on an in-lap. Storms has retired and left the session, so probably a disconnect there, unfortunately. Hopefully he can get back in before the end of qualifying and before the start of the race. Then here, that would certainly be good for him and helpful. So in comes Owen, and see what Rum Monkey can do. Coming around the final corner now. Can he get anywhere closer? Nope, sadly not. 81 thousandths down on his best, and I think he's actually going for it again, potentially here. So maybe doing a double warm-up. Anyway, we are now in the final 3 minutes of qualifying. So, through then turns, well, the Maggots and Beckett's sort of section. Flicks the car left, then right, then left again, then right again. Then this sort of like section just continues onwards and onwards. In a way, it kind of reminds me of mogul skiing. If you've ever watched mogul skiing, that's what that section of track really reminds me of. Mogul skiing is a fantastic sport, by the way. If you haven't seen it, look it up. It's something. I love skiing anyway. I do skiing sometimes. I have in my life, so yeah, it's a fantastic sport. Something I would totally encourage. But yeah, that's what that first section of track really reminds me of. A bit of mogul skiing, where you got to, be really quick, and it's all about, having a confident front end, of the car, that confidence, that you can just flick the car left, flick the car right, and that is going to stick, really. If you haven't got that confidence, really, you would lose lap time. Rum Monkey is on a good lap. He's about half a second up on his lap time. Make that a second as he comes around the final corner. Wasn't enough to see him move up any positions, but still, that's a good effort by Rum Monkey, and I think he can be very proud of that effort, ultimately. So, Kossa is now going to be one of the first top runners to begin his final qualifying lap. And we are then off in qualifying for this final run. So, through then the first sector, 33 thousandths of a second down. And he is coming into now the hairpin that leads onto a DRS straight, which then he'll open up that DRS, I think, or maybe not. Maybe he's backed out of this lap. There would be time for him technically to go again. So I think Speedy Bullet actually is going to be the first one of the runners to cross the line. So currently is only improving by a few thousandths. Can he find more time in the final sector? Yep, does go even quicker and up into the top 5. Decent effort by him. Piano Jam then, next one to come across the line. Currently on a 34.9 then. Gonna get track map up. So I think actually Robbo has begun a lap, or is about to begin. So anyway, back to Piano Jam. How much is he going to improve by? Can he move up the order? Goes almost out wide on the exit. Doesn't improve. Only improves by 48 thousandths and remains P10. So that's, well, not going to see him go up any further. Vigo is then starting a fresh lap. So Vigo's basically coming into Maggots and Beckett's sort of sector of the lap, whereas Robbo is more down the line and's got lots of clean air. Lots of clean air also behind him, not just ahead. So doesn't have to worry about anyone else. Can just focus on what he wants to do. Currently 3 tenths down, so this isn't seeing him go any quicker this lap so far, and therefore is that going to be a bit of a concern, because he's only 2 tenths ahead and looks like he's given up on it, in fact. So he has given up. So what is Vigo then saying? Can Vigo still pole at the final element of qualifying? Currently 3 tenths up, almost 4 tenths to the good. Then as we come towards the final half a minute of qualifying then we got here. And cars getting out of the way nicely. Is a bit of traffic, but that won't affect him at all. Then, through the final part of the lap, keeps the car nicely within the track limit. I think just about riding the white line, taking then the widest possible entry, and goes into the 32.9s. So we do get a 32.9, we do get a sub 133. That's a very good effort from him to take then pole position away from Arbegduri. What is Whitty saying? Not saying much, and same with Pringles. Unfortunately, Pringles then will be 12th on the grid. So Vigo takes pole position, had a very good first lap, like Arbegduri, had a very good then second run, only doing the 2 runs I think there in qualifying today, which is commendable, and he takes pole by 4/10 almost of a second. In fact, it is 4/10. It's about 4/10 and 3 thousandths, I think, if my maths is any good. And then it's Robbo, then Litz, and then Speedy Bullet in then P5 for Speedy Bullet. So we'll go down the rest of the grid, and we'll start first off with your pole sitter, Vigo, taking pole position, then doing what he's done best all season so far, Arbegduri P2, then it's Robbo in P3. P4 we got Litz, P5 Speedy Bullet, and apparently he's American, so he is going to be quite happy with that performance at one of, I suppose, his 3 home tracks. Then we got Whitty in 6th and Kosa in 7th. AlphaTauri is in 8th. Lucky Egg is in 9th. And then we got Owen in 10th, rounding out the top 10. Then outside of the top 10, we got Piano Jam, Pringles, Storms, Unsainted, Rum Monkey, and then No Lap Time, Limited Danny, and Vim Porsche. Then there. Pretty sure Vim Porsche probably has a qualifying ban because he's reserving from a higher tier. So higher tiers in this league get qualifying bans, in case you don't know. I'm pretty sure you do. I don't have to keep re-explaining that sort of thing. But yep, that was a decent-ish qualifying. We do have a sprint, which should actually be considered, actually. Considering we got a sprint. Therefore, the sprint will see no strategy. So, yep, there is a big chance. Ralph Vanderberg. I have no idea who you are. Unless you're Man's Not Bob, but I don't think you are Man's Not Bob. When you say invite, do you mean invite to the lobby or invite to the chat or yeah? Unless you're Ralph Fatari, which again I don't think I have you, unfortunately. The only thing I can suggest is maybe if you're Ralph Fatari, reach out to one of the admins or to the host. I think we got a formation lap, which you're lucky if that's the case. I'm going to see if I can add you quickly, and I might be able to invite you. If I can do that, then who knows? Let's have a look. So, yeah, I think it's Ralph Atari who needs an invite, and I don't think I can do that, unfortunately. The only thing I can say is, try to reach out to the admin. The only thing I do hope you're not desynced now, because that can happen, unfortunately, and you have joined, so I do hope when you do rejoin, you're not desynced, because this game is ridiculous, really. I've seen it happen so many times, and yeah, that's that then. Unfortunately. Anyway, have to just hope and wait and see what goes on. Having formation lap on though is a bit of a risk, to be fair. I would just keep it off with formation lap personally. That's just me though, only because, you know, I just think it's too much of a risk in this year's game, unfortunately. Sorry to say. So, right, we're going to have a quick look at the tyres. So I think there are a few different tyre strategies going on out there, potentially. Nope, there isn't really many, that few. But everyone's on mediums. That's a bit of an interesting call, why people have gone mediums. Personally, haven't anyone heard of the thing called soft compounds? Maybe they've used them all in qualifying. Or maybe they're saving them for the race. But yeah, I would have probably used softs for this sprint, personally. This isn't the most friendliest track on the tyres when it comes to tyre wear. Anyway, few getting disqualified from the, obviously, rejoin of the grid. And everyone's in position then. Our timings have gone haywire. And yeah, I'm not entirely sure where the lights are. But we are go. That is the worst camera angle ever in the world. So, Vigo covers off the inside up to turn 1. Keeps then his car then there on the inside as we see cars flicking up and down the field. Gonna get rid of that. So, right, Vigo leads, and that's a pretty obvious statement, as they all then filter through the first turn. Speedy Bullet down into 9th. That's a poor start by him, as Vin Porsche making up already then 5 positions on this first lap. He's coming through the field like a steam train. And of course, with then this sprint race, then we'll have the opportunity to gain a bit more positions compared to what he would usually have. This would be effectively his first lap of a real race. But here we go then with Vin Porsche. Vin Porsche going down the inside, I think, of 1. Can he get the move done on, it looks like, Lucky Egg, who is going to lose out there? Yes, he can. Speedy Bullet gone off the track and losing out a couple of positions as well. And Speedy Bullet down into 12th. So a very bad opening lap from him, who's obviously was in the top 5. As we see Whitty up into 6th. So Whitty having a decent-ish start. Then followed by Ralph Attari, who did get a bit disconnected at the first, well, on that formation lap, but does obviously seem like everything is fine, so no issues there, and will be still in this one and in the race at least. And as we head then up into turn 1 for the second time, it is Ralph Attari, teammate of Vin Porsche, making the move on Storms in the background. Ralph Attari stays currently in 6th. Now, according to my timings, Vigo is about a minute ahead of Robbo, who clearly is not, having no really idea of the timings, which we're just going to have to go on what we see. Can clearly see he's not a minute ahead. We can clearly see Arbeiduri's there lingering in the background as we head down the hill then. I would say it's maybe about half a second at the most, maybe within the 3/10. So here we go then, down the straight for a second occasion, and heading into the heavy braking zone of turn 13 or turn 12, I think it is, as then Arbeiduri, doesn't have a go, doesn't get the potential to go down. Storms is making a move on his teammate Lucky Egg and gets up into 10th, even though I think he was already ahead. And Vin Porsche is already up then behind his teammate, with only his teammate now ahead of him. However, it is going to get a bit more tougher from here for Vin Porsche, as he will have to now negotiate a bit more of the faster drivers to get back up into at least the top 5 drivers in this race then here. So we cross the line. My timings are now starting to reset. That's a lot better, because at least we can tell who's where as we now go on to lap 3. That isn't or wasn't ideal. Run Monkey is still a minute behind apparently, as he now crosses the line. And yeah, that's a lot better now. So can actually now see and tell you who's where. So literally, Witty is coming then through. He's literally the closest one in this mid pack, followed by Ralph Attari. Ralph Attari really on the back of Witty then here. Vin Porsche is closing though on them literally like a cheetah, because cheetah is quickest animal I think in the safari. Pretty sure it is a cheetah, unless there's another faster animal which is out there in the wildlife, in the safari desert. Pretty sure it's the safari. The African, you know what I mean. Anyway, Unsainted is actually going to be making up a move here on Limited Danny. And that's going to be a pretty special move then by him, who currently is going to go around the outside. That's a very lovely move by Unsainted to get that one done. Very, very lovely. Does Limited Danny have any damage? Potentially. I'm not entirely sure. Doesn't look like he's enjoying himself out there, which is a bit of a shame for him. But yeah, that was a beautiful move. You can't take anything away from that for Unsainted. That was a really, really lovely move by Unsainted. And Vin Porsche making up then a move on his teammate, past his teammate already, and Vin Porsche heads up into turn 1 now in 7th. So he's already so close to the leader and already gaining on the leader. In fact, only 3.6. Bear in mind, he only started down in 17th. Really, I mean, you know, it is a qualifying ban enough for Vin Porsche. Like, I'm only joking, but yeah, literally 3.6 seconds, started in 16th off the leader, and yeah, just showing his true turn of pace. Showing why he's such a highly rated skilled driver in ERL, clearly, today. And like last time, as soon as you feel he probably gets up into the lead, he is going to probably take this one away. But the leaders are battling away then, so this is going to be an interesting battle. Both of them side by side, keeping it clean. A little bit of wheel contact, I think, a little bit on the exit there, but that weren't much, just a little bit of wheel rubbing. So that's all good and well. But Vigo holds on and holds off Arbeguri, so currently remains P1 after being challenged. Obviously, DRS is now enabled, as we are now on lap 4. Obviously, DRS been enabled for about a lap, so Vigo will come under increasing pressure. The thing is, though, these drivers do not want to cause the other to have a bit of a problem, like, as in, you don't really want to ruin someone in the sprint. As much as you probably want to make up as many positions, or, you know, not lose many positions in a sprint race, but you don't want to end up ruining your race either. Like, I would, any day in a sprint race, settle for P2. So I've just been asked, can I invite Ron Monkey? The trouble is, I can't actually add him, because he's on the what you call it. Fortunately, the trouble is, if I do try and invite Ron Monkey, I can't actually seemingly add him inside the commentary. I would otherwise invite him. So, yeah, that's if you're listening in, Man's Not Bob. Because he's on basically PC, or I think that's PC symbol, or Xbox, whichever one of the other two, or Steam key. You know, effectively, I would have to leave this lobby, and effectively, that's the only real way I can invite him, I believe. Like, I don't believe, like, I can add, put it this way, I can add, pretty sure EA, not EA, sorry. I can only block the EA account. As you can see, there's no option to add, and to invite him, I'd need to add him as a friend, unfortunately, from my account, and as you can see, haven't got him. So there is literally no way I don't think I can actually add him unless there's a way to do that, like, otherwise I would. I'm just going to get back to the action, no offense, we've accidentally missed, then a move for the lead of the Grand Prix, but I think we're going to see a move taken back here as Vigo heads towards the inside. Down the inside Vigo goes. Really sent it there, he did. And this time going to have to go around the outside. So this time it's roles reverse compared to what it was on lap 4. But Vigo making the move work. And Albegduri gets the cutback. So this time he's going to try and move, surely not around the outside here, unless he's, you know, a Sebastian Vettel on Kevin Magnussen sort of move. That would be pretty special. But yeah, I don't think he had really the ability or the tyre grip to do that then here, but is certainly on then the rear of Vigo. And will we see him make the lunge up into the turn 1 at the top of the hill? Yes, we will. And he goes through, gets the move done, but Vigo coming back. Vigo gets the cutback. And can Vigo go round the outside then? Yes, he can, and remains in P1 then here. But whilst these two are battling, they are taking time out of each other's race all the time, and they are losing time to Vin Porsche. And Vin Porsche is soon going to be on the back of the pair of them very, very quickly indeed. And in fact, he's already, I think, within the DRS of Arbegduri. So both of them are going to then have that DRS and are going to gain on, well, Vin Porsche is going to gain on Arbegduri. But Arbegduri is going to be gaining on Vigo and is going to be going for the move on Vigo. Vigo gives him the squeeze to the inside. Vigo isn't necessarily giving this one up too easily. Now it's the roles reversed to what it was the lap before, like was on lap 4. Vigo has the inside line, so he can dictate where he wants to position his car effectively. But Arbegduri sends it up the inside into the next corner, and they're still side by side, but it is Vigo coming out on top with the better line and manages to hold off Arbegduri once again for then that race lead then here as we head on to lap 8. Now, does Arbegduri work maybe with now Vigo? Because if I was sort of Arbegduri, I would be probably looking at that, trying to work with Vigo. But I think it may be a bit too late for that, in all truths, to be going to work with Vigo now, because Vigo has been battling and you've already cost yourself time. But yeah, does he do a bit of a Lando Norris and refuse to overtake Vigo and try and hold Vin Porsche off that way? However, that could just sacrifice his own race as we head then towards the top of the hill, down towards then the turn 11, I think it is, or turn 10. So Vin Porsche is probably the driver to look out for. Even though Vigo is within that second, he is also someone to watch. But is he going to be able to go for a move, or is he going to stay a bit further back? I think he's staying a bit further back. Doesn't even look at the lunge and remains behind then Vigo here. So is this Arbegduri settling for P2 in this race compared to Vigo in P1? It might just be. And if it is, then that's the only real way I think both Vigo and Arbegduri working together can hold off Vin Porsche in these final couple of laps. So as we cross the line, there will be 2 laps to go, about 10 kilometers in this race left of racing as we cross the line now. So about 8 to 10 kilometers of racing left, and currently Vigo is ahead of then Arbegduri. Can even Arbegduri go and steal this one? Maybe have a sneaky steal on the last lap. But right now, it's Vigo still ahead as they swell through then that S section. And I do like this camera, to be fair. It really gives a good view of the track. And yeah, I am a big fan of the helicopter cam. To be fair, if I could, I would literally just make Formula One helicopter cam all day long. Then, as they head then across then the second time this DRS zone, you can see how far back Arbegduri is, and has a little bit of a look, breaks into a bit of cleaner air, but doesn't have the ability or not close enough to go for it. So Vigo remains ahead as we head then towards the final lap of this race. We are on the penultimate lap, and we then only got one more lap of this to do. Vigo must be right now sweating a lot with the pressure that's amounting here in this final lap of the sprint. There are potentially 5 cars still within potential of having a good result, of ending up on the podium here. It would only take one small incident for literally things to change. So, Vigo gets a good exit as we head down the hill then. And this camera I also do like, because you can just see the rear end of Vigo's car, and you can just see the chasing pack following him as we go up the hill as well. Also, you get a good engine sound. So down the hill towards the DRS, and we'll get the car turned in, takes a wide line, so looking more for the exit there from Vigo. Does he go good exit? He does, but not quite as good as the laps before. Vigo is certainly a lot closer. So this is why I said about could he get the steal here, because it looks like then Porsche is not going to be going for it as we go now to the off-board shot, and as we head into the turn, it is Vigo behind. It's Arbegduri on the outside, but a little bit of contact, and Vigo just gets through. That was absolutely fine in my opinion from Vigo, getting through there, makes a little bit of contact, the ever so slightest of touches, and it is Vigo then ahead, and it's going to be Vigo who's defended off Arbegduri this entire race and is going to take the race win, unless, well, Arbegduri can go for the craziest of crazy sends as they come around the final corner. Is it still Vigo ahead? Yes, it is. Arbegduri comes home P2. It's Porsche P3. Then it's Robbo P4. Costa is in P5. Litz 7th. Storms up into 6th. Lucky Egg 8th. Lucky Egg is an 8th. Lucky Egg now 10th. Witty 8th. Speedy Bullet in 9th. Lucky Egg in 10th. Owen in 11th. Piano Jam 12th. Limited Danny, 12th. Piano Jam 13th. Unsainted comes across in 14th. Pringles is in 15th. And that, I believe, are all the drivers that have finished or managed to finish this first sprint race. Hopefully the drivers that did get disconnected can rejoin back. But yeah, as I was saying, I would have invited, I would invite people, but sadly I don't have as many people added, which unfortunately is what it is. Now, I'm not sure if there's a new lobby. I think there might be a new lobby, which, yeah, which I think gonna join, unless, oh no, I've already joined, so don't worry. I thought there was a new lobby, but there isn't. Anyway, Vigo P1, Arbegduri P2, Robbo P3, Robbo P4, Vim Porsche P3, Cossa P5, Storms P6, Litz P7, Witty P8, Speedy Bullet P9, Lucky Egg 10th, and Owen 11th. 12th is Danny, 13th is Piano, then Unsainted in 14th, and Pringles final finisher. Ravatari and Rum Monkey both, unfortunately, I believe, getting disconnected, which is unfortunate for them, but unfortunately there was no way to really invite them back, and hopefully someone can do that, which I believe Robbo has done. He's sent a invite to everyone, so yeah. So, we have then started the formation lap for the second time, and we are now going to go into the second race here, and hopefully we can have a good second race ultimately. So first race, obviously then Porsche got up into P3 after, well, it was only 10 laps, almost less than that, really it was about 7 he got up into P3. So he's going to be one to watch. How are others going to fare? How is Vigo and Arbejduri now going to fare? Because, you know, the whole thing is now a different dynamic. Now, Robbo backing everyone up a bit, to be fair. Maybe a bit too much. Storms and Licks both disqualified. I think they've accidentally ran into the back of each other on the formation lap, which is a bit of a shame. Bit of an unlucky situation that is for them too. So they're going to have a bit of the freezing cold tyres on their race start. Potentially, hopefully don't create chaos, but potentially could. So, here we go then. Again, the timings all a bit iffy. But yep, don't even have the 5 red lights to be fair this week. This game is so broken. Anyway, up towards turn 1. And into the first corner. Vigo again coming across quite abruptly on that race start. Defending off that inside line. Making sure Arbejduri doesn't have any thoughts about going up the inside there on this opening lap, and gets away with it again, keeping that P1. Arbejduri then P2, followed by Vin Porsche. Robbo in P3, P4, Cossa P5. Then it Storms, Witty, then Speedy Bullet making up a position, and is Speedy Bullet about to make up another? Looks like he's chasing down the Mercedes man, as Robbo is going to be making up a position here for P3 in this race. And Robbo is going to be P3 now, as I did say it was P3 before, but is now legitimately P3 on the track, and is through up into third, but is going to have to defend off Vin Porsche, who is going to go for it. Down the inside, has a look, doesn't get the move done. So Storms overtaking now, then Kosa, and doesn't appear that he's, been affected by those colder tyres on this opening lap. The Speedy Bullet almost going through up the position. Lots of positional changes a bit further down. Owen up into 10th, or down into 10th. Limited Danny making up a few positions in this first run. Then all this first lap here of this race. Can he get into the top 10? Yes, he can. Down the inside at the final corner, gets the move done at the final corner, and is through up into P10 in this race. So far, we've had no safety cars so far today, which is good to see. All clean racing, as Pringles making up the move on Piano Jam down the inside at turn 1, gets the move done at turn 1, and is through and onwards through beyond turn 1. So Speedy Bullet is having a fight with Witty. then for what is then P8 was momentarily, I think, side by side, but is now coming under a bit of increasing pressure from Lit, who is going to be, going potentially for the move, has a little look to the inside, doesn't go for it, decides to hold a little bit back then here, and is now up into then the top 8. Can he get 7th? He's going to go down the inside for 7th. Has a bit of contact between then the two, Speedy Bullet and Witty, and in the end Speedy Bullet does come out on top, but did make a bit of contact there, but that was okay, to be fair. No harm done. And anyway, back up to more of the top pack of the field. So right now, Vim Porsche is being a bit bullied as he's down into then what is 5th position. That's a bit uncharacteristic by Vim Porsche, I must say. But it is those drivers on that softer compound deciding, who have gone for the softer compound, have, obviously benefited from that. But their tyres will drop off probably quite soon. I expect maybe around lap 6 to 8. Tyres will start fading and we'll see the mediums just come back into it. Arbeck-Dury is, though, pretty much Arbeck-Dury is also on the soft. So, only Vigo and Vim Porsche tactically have gone for the medium compound still in this race, which I think is quite, interesting tactic. And I think a quite smart tactic going on medium, because really going on the softs, you're almost committing to the 2-stop already in this race. Like, it's a long way to go on a set of mediums. If you're going to, let me just put it like this. If you're going to stop in this race on a set of softs, you're going to be doing it between lap 8 and lap probably 12. No later than lap 12. As then Vigo and Arbeck-Dury, we'll get back to that conversation in a bit, but Arbeck-Dury and Vigo is fighting out, and Arbeck-Dury is going to go through. Bit of contact between the two, but in the end, it is Arbeck-Dury going ahead. So yeah, as I was saying, we can sort of kind of focus a little bit on that. In fact, we can't focus on a little bit on that because we've got Vigo, already coming back at Arbeck-Dury and's got the move back at Arbeck-Dury. Robbo is now under pressure by Vim Porsche, and Vim Porsche keeps it within the track boundaries. Robbo don't, so Robbo remains then ahead, though, of Vim Porsche. Yeah, as I was saying, or trying to say, hopefully I can get to the end. I will just get to the end of it. So, yeah, what I'm saying is, basically, those on the softs will stop around 8 to 10, or maybe no later than lap 12, but that's a bit of a stretch. Those on mediums can go probably to 14, lap 16 even, and ultimately they're in a far better position than the drivers on mediums. Maybe they could even try and push it to 17 if they wanted to, whereas the drivers on the softs are going to have to try and really eke out their softs to at least lap 12-ish sort of territory, but they're going to have really no pace by the time they do that. Yeah, this is a bit of maybe a bad strategy for those committed to the soft tyre, I think it is, personally. So, right. Costa is making up a few moves then here, and Litz is going to have a look. Litz is going to not just have a look, he's going to go past. Costa makes a bit of contact with, then it is Speedy Bullet, and Speedy Bullet then remains P7, but has lost position to Litz. Then in there, Vigo and Arbeck-Dury still fighting out. Arbeck-Dury, though, getting the better exit, getting maybe the better run. Can he go for it again, get the move done again? Does have, he's almost pushing the guy through the corner there, which isn't ideal for Arbeck-Dury. Must feel that extra speed, though. However, Arbeck-Dury doing well to keep within the fight. Sooner, I do expect Vim Porsche and Vigo to carve their way through the field and just to storm off into the distance. We do have a yellow flag, though, in the final sector, so could this see a triggered safety car? I think the Alfa Romeo driver, that spun piano jam, has got going, so no DNF, just maybe a spin of some sort, or been tagged around. Anyway, Vim Porsche has a driver send it on his inside of Storms, and it's Whitty out of the race, and we actually have got a safety car. So this is actually very good timing, probably, for those on the softs, because those not on softs are going to have to now consider what they do. Do they stick or do they twist? Those on the softs can certainly now maybe try and make a pit stop, or they can even try to extend their stints. I think those on mediums probably will remain out, actually, to be fair, because it is an early stop, to be fair for them. They can actually probably extend their, tyres up to the now point of the softs. And this is our first safety car of the day, of the evening, as Whitty has DNF'd from the session, unfortunately for him. So, your top three are exactly the same top three as it was on lap 1. In fact, it might be, the same top 4 as we had on lap 1. In terms of the grid start, I'm not sure it's the same top 5. I don't think it is, but yeah. So, Vigo almost sold Al-Baghduri the dummy, and Al-Baghduri has gone for it. In fact, everyone's gone for it behind him. Only Costa's remaining out, so is there any other drivers that are going to decide not to come in? Otherwise, this is going to be a very interesting strategy from then Vigo, but everyone else all coming in, all committed into the pit lane. Let's see what tyres they have gone for then. Those drivers that have made their stops. So, we got some on hards, we got some on mediums, and we got some on softs. So, it is actually a bit of a split opinion what to put on there at that stop, but only the top 3 then, now in this race, are all on their starting Grand Prix tyres. Al-Baghduri has decided to go for the hards. Whether or not they can get hards to the end of this race, 20 plus laps to do on those, that's a very, very long way in this race to take them hard compound tyres. Considering everything, this is certainly a very interesting strategy call from them drivers. The drivers certainly committed to the mediums, definitely aren't going to go to the end. I don't think they're going to be able to do over 20 laps. And definitely not the soft runner. The soft runners are definitely going to have to make another stop again. So you are obviously Storms, Owen are all going to have to make their stops again then here in this race. Then, as we will see, and both AlphaTauri and Piano Jam, Run Monkey are out. But as I say, there's no, unfortunately, way I can really invite them because, unfortunately, they're not on the PlayStation platform, which is just a bit of a shame. Only the owner of the lobby and whoever's got them added really can ultimately invite them, unfortunately, which is, just a great shame, which I do hope maybe they can, but for them cars behind as well, that's going to be a bit of a effect, I suppose, on their race restart. So long they just keep it behind, they'll be fine, but they're going to lose a bit of time there. So safety car should be in at the end of this lap, I would suspect. Obviously, we'll have to see. So, safety car is in this lap, so we will go racing once again. Then, once we get going, we will have over 20, I think, 1 laps remaining. So it's still a long way to go in this race. Obviously, Vigo, Costa, and Lucky Egg all have yet to make stops. And in fact, Costa, I think, will be making his stop this lap. So Costa having a really odd one, doing a bit of a Ericsson. I think it was, or not Ericsson, a Grosjean. Ericsson hit us though, didn't he? That is what I was trying to say there. As Lucky Egg then, under a bit of pressure. Vigo taking his time to go, obviously not going yet, so he's really backing them up, not waiting for, well, he's waiting for his time, choosing his time, obviously is his prerogative, and he's gone now. So out the final corner, we are back to racing here in the Austin, Texas Grand Prix at COTA, then in the United States. So it's a decent-ish restart by Vigo, who has led them up the hill into turn 1. He's about 7/10 clear then of Arbejduri. Arbejduri is behind on a set of the hards and is going to certainly have a tyre advantage for now. So in that sense, that is a bit of a role reversal compared to what it was a bit earlier. Vim Porsche is behind him too. So them two are going to be pushing on, trying to get past Lucky Egg, trying to send Lucky Egg one way, goes the other, and isn't going to get the move done just yet. But here goes Arbejduri down the inside at turn 11 or 12, whichever one it is, and gets the move done there into the hairpin, into the heavy braking zone. And now Vim Porsche is trying to go through as well for good measure. But it looks like Lucky Egg got a good lot of straight line speed in that car, to be fair. A bit like Alex Albon in real life, who usually in the Williams has good straight line speed and usually does well to defend off his rivals. And isn't unfortunately going to be able to defend off Lucky Egg. But Lucky Egg still is in a great position. Now Vigo is going to come under pressure for that P1. Arbejduri is the driver on the better compound, and same with Vim Porsche. Both them two really going to have the better compound, the better tyres in this part of the race compared to Vigo, who has decided to stay out on those mediums. But how long can he hold him? Can he hold them off for? If he can even hold them off, because it looks right now that they are far superior. And here we go then, up into turn 1. This is going to be a move for the race lead. Can Arbejduri get this move done? Can he make it stick? It's Arbejduri on the inside, Vigo on the outside. Arbejduri gets the move done. Arbejduri is your new race leader in this race today. But Vigo isn't going to let this one go, I don't think. He is still going to try and fight whatever fight he's got left in those tyres as we head up the hill. DRS is now going to be enabled, so therefore if he remains within a second, he will get the benefit of that use of DRS to not only just try and come back at Arbejduri, but also to try and defend against Vim Porsche as we head into the hairpin, or into the, yeah, it is a hairpin. But Arbejduri breaking the toe, 9/10 clear, so I don't think he's going to be under pressure. But what about Vigo? Is he going to be under pressure? And for some reason, can't see the DRS open, but DRS I do think is active. So there we go. Vim Porsche gets the move done and is now up into P2. So yeah, couldn't see the DRS opening, but I think it is obviously active. So whatever reason, from certainly the off-board shot, there was no visual DRS, but do assume if the car is within a second, there is DRS going on. Certainly that's how we've got to read it at the moment, because pretty sure DRS is 3 laps after a safety car. Could be wrong in that, but yeah, Vigo is obviously the driver right now, going backwards. So in the DRS again, trying to break the toe, trying to use as much as he can. And in fact, DRS says enabled now, so maybe DRS wasn't enabled. But nonetheless, it's not going to make much of a difference. Robbo's going to go for it down the inside. Robbo's got the move. He did go a bit deep, so which allowed Vigo to cut back on the inside there, out of 1. And in the end, it is Robbo with the inside line for 2, coming out on top as we go into the Enfield section and through the S's and it is Robbo up into P3. But as we get on the exit, a bit of a almost half brake check and almost seeing cars hit one another. That isn't really great to see. We don't want to see cars taking each other out unnecessarily in this battle. I know it is getting pretty condensed, the field, certainly for the fight for fourth, and that's going to be a very, very tough fight then. But going back to the leaders, we are actually seeing Arbeg and Vin Porsche go side by side, and really Vin Porsche has probably got really both Arbeg and Vigo where he wants them to be. He's got Vigo on the back foot now. He's got Arbeg vulnerable and alone, and really, like, I just don't want to say it's, you know, nail in the coffin yet, but if Vin Porsche goes on by, I think this could be the nail in the coffin moment. Because as I say, he's got both drivers where he wants them to be. He's got literally Vigo, Arbeg alone. And I just feel with Arbeg being alone, Arbeg is probably the weaker of the two drivers. I don't mean that in a very disrespectful way to, you know, between him and Vigo, but I just feel like Vigo could probably do more tactically. You know, we saw how many times Vigo came back in the sprint, and during even the race, in the early part of the race, on those medium compound, able just to fight off Arbeg and keep his car ahead. Whereas with Arbeg kept on falling behind and couldn't ever make the move stick. So what is this going to do for the lead of the race? We are going to probably see a positional swap then this time around. Arbeg is only 5/10 ahead, so he's going to make one move at least to the inside. Can only make one move ultimately. Can't make too many moves down this straight. He's already gone for it, and it looked like Vin Porsche has teleported his way through then Arbeg there. So either way, that's then the move done. I wasn't expecting Vin Porsche to go through Arbeg but, well, I was expecting to go through into the lead, but just not through that way into the lead. So that's a bit of a indifferent overtake. You know, I'm not really sure if, you know, Vin Porsche should give that place back. Give that place back. I was almost dying on my own oxygen, or my own what you call it, talk. Yeah, not really sure if Vin Porsche should give that place back. But nonetheless, his choice if he wants to do that. Obviously, he might feel that it was Arbeg who lagged out, therefore no harm done. But that one, I don't know whether that one would ever get investigated by stewards if something like that happens, you know. And who do you blame, you know, if that makes sense, if there can be blame, you know, labelled at anyone's doorstep, if you know what I mean. Because, yeah, that I really don't know how to put it. Like, if you teleport through someone, like, but then if it's their fault, you know, I suppose, yeah. I'm not saying not Arbeg would report it, but yeah. Anyway, Arbeg hasn't dropped out though that second, is still within the DRS, is going to have the opportunity to come back at Vin Porsche then here into then this heavy braking zone, but doesn't able to get the move done and is still behind as we reach the apex then there. So Robbo P6, then followed by Speedy Bullet, and it is Speedy Bullet currently in 7th. As we see Piano Jump going for the move on Pringles, gets the move done on the inside. Nicely textbook maneuver that is. And we've seen that move so many times in today's event or race, and pretty used to it now. Someone needs to do a bit of a better move now, and need to do maybe around the outside of turn, well, what would that be? 1, 2, 3, 4. See someone do a move around the outside of turn 17. That'd be perfect then. Well, 17, 18 and 19. That would be absolutely a treat. So, lap 13 of this race. We are almost halfway point through this race. Obviously, we know both Lucky Egg, we know Vigo, both got to make their stops at some point during this race. When do they make those stops? Down to them. Obviously, for Vigo, his race is now trying to hold on to a podium, maybe. Can he go and chase after Litz and go and get that podium off Litz? Trouble is, he would also have to chase down Robert Phil in the latter end of the Grand Prix stages. So when will Vigo come in? That's the ultimate question for us at the moment. But for then Porsche, as I said, he had pretty much them where he wanted them to be and is now ever so much stretching out his lead, and it's now up to 1.2 seconds. He's broken clear of the DRS, so Rave Duri will not get DRS on Vim Porsche, and Vim Porsche is now checking out once again, like he did in Canada, in this one too. Speedy Bullet in P7, but right now this is probably where the battle is at between Storms and between Robbo in the fight for then fifth here. Both of them got penalties. Both of them currently on very much different strategies as well. In fact, the three cars you're looking at of Vigo, Storm and Robbo are all on very much different strategies. Vigo is trying to make the one stop work, if he can do that, and maybe get a podium. Robbo is, well, who knows? Is he going to try and go to the end on them hards? Or how far do the hard runners that stopped in that first safety car willing to take them tyres? And for Storms, obviously we know he's got to stop again. We know he will stop again. But the question of not if, but more when do those other soft runners stop then in their race? And Costa makes a move up on Pringles for P11, as we see Lucky Egg then. So, dives into pits, Lucky Egg does. What tyres will he go for? I presume it'll be the hards. He's stopping pretty much where you'd probably stop if you go onto a set of hards. From here, I don't think it'll be the softs. Let's see. Yep, it is going to be the set of the hards. And those tyres, no doubt, will be aiming to get those to the end of this race. So Storm's seeing Robbo go a bit wide, who's already got penalties. We'll go through the penalty situation. So, currently, the biggest penalty anyone's got is Storms and Pringles, both with 6 seconds, and Piano Jam also. Then we got Costa, Unsainted, Limited Danny, and Robbo all on 3. So them drivers are all on 3 seconds. No one has really got crazy penalties ultimately in this race. And to be fair, that doesn't shock me. Like, really, drivers who do pick up a penalty around here probably deserve the penalty around here because, okay, there's like, you know, a few turns which can catch you a bit off guard here. Certainly this one can, which we've just seen, in fact, Storms do exactly that as he now comes diving into the pit lane. But, you know, ultimately, I don't think this track is that tough for the track limits. You know, I think it's pretty lenient in some respects. I think, you know, it's a pretty easy one to get right because, you know, a lot of the time you kind of drive on a circuit like this within the limit, not over the limit, which, if that makes sense, you're not really like pushing to that point. Like, yeah, through here you don't really want to be taking any more curb than you need because you've got those orange sausage curbs which can be a bit disturbing of the car downforce and can throw you off. So you just want to take the right amount of curb, and you don't want to be too greedy around here. That's, I think, the secret to this place. Not being too greedy. So, yeah. Anyway. Robbo is closing now up onto the back of then Vigo, sorry, and goes for the move, gets the move done before the braking, and is then ahead of then Vigo up into then the top 4. So that is now Robbo ahead of Vigo, who's now down again to 5th. And again, losing that position obviously is on those, well, is on the oldest tyres of anyone currently out there. And in terms of the gap, he's probably about 10 seconds behind the race leader. Is about 10 seconds behind race leader, 11.7. And he's now coming in. So what does Vigo go for? Does he try and attempt to end this race on softs? Is, though, a long way to go for softs. I think he's got to go for hards still. I don't think he can surely do it on a set of the softs, but he is going to attempt it. So fair credit and fair play to him for the attempting the softs to the end. That's a long way, though, to go on those softs. Certainly going to be right on the limit in terms of what's possible on a set of softs. Certainly going to be about 12 laps he's got to do. Now, the only thing is, the track has rubbered in a bit, so, well, rubbered in a lot. So I would say potentially that is possible, actually. It's just, you know, whether or not he will do it or will be able to pull it off, because it is a long way to go still. Don't get me wrong. It's not the easiest of tasks. This one isn't, to go onto, well, carve his way through, back through the field. He's about, though, over 20 seconds behind the podium. So that's a long, long way to go. The only thing I can say is maybe that the drivers that are on the hards will pit again, and maybe some of the other drivers, certainly like Speedy Bullet, he's going to have to stop again on his mediums. I don't think he'll be able to get those to the end, so I imagine he'll maybe come in about 20, lap 21, maybe 22 at the latest. So that's going to be a position for Vigo. Then, you know, there's probably going to be other drivers he's certainly going to be able to get through that are on mediums. Like, for instance, Piano Jam, certainly him going to be a target. And obviously Limited Danny. And, yeah, there are drivers, I think, on mediums. P4, I think, is realistic. Whether or not P3 is doable, I think that is where the question remains to be told. Can Vigo get back to that position of P3 in this race and finish it on the podium? Currently he is your championship leader, and there is no threat, obviously, of the championship lead changing today, but, you know, that might just go down as a report, I think, that one. That was clearly a illegal pass, I'd have to say, personally. Looked like he just pushed him out of the way, which, yeah, certainly isn't ideal. So far, though, I mean, Vigo is the most entertaining person on the track right now, either way, irrespective of that. As I think it is the closest battle we've got. We've got this battle for 13th and 14th, kind of, I suppose. Suppose you could make that a three-way battle, but yeah, I think you're probably more interested in seeing how Vigo gets on getting his way through the field at the moment, as really that is the closest battle we've got and the most meaningful battle we've got as well. So, unfortunately, the gaps between the drivers is quite big today. Not really friendly gaps going on out there for us as a commentator. Therefore, fortunately, just means we are getting a bit of a dull race at the moment. But this race will, I'm hoping, come lively towards the end. Probably not out front, probably out front. This race is done and dusted, unfortunately to say. So currently, Vigo has taken 5 seconds out of our Begduri. That is something to note. He's already within 20 seconds of Arbegduri, probably within actually the pit stop window of Arbegduri. So if Arbegduri was to stop now, Arbegduri probably would come out down in 9th behind Vigo here. Be very much on the limit, put it that way. So Vigo's got to try and clear Limited Danny and Storms as quickly as possible. Is he going to get past then Storms? Yes, he is. Gets move done. Now can he go get Limited Danny, and how quickly can he get past Limited Danny? Is he just going to go for it? He is just going to go for it, and he's gone and got it. That's a decent move by Vigo, certainly not wasting any time in this race. Absolutely sent it, and licked the stamp, and got it then. Limited Danny also now going a little bit off circuit and having to concede also the position to Storm, so that's him down 2 positions then here. And Arbegduri's actually pitted. Arbegduri has decided to come into the box again. And as I said, is he going to rejoin behind Vigo? I think he is going to rejoin behind Vigo. There is Vigo, and there's Storms as well for good measure. And it's Vigo now ahead of then Arbegduri, who's then now in a net, probably P2 about here. So yeah, that's a brilliant outcome for Vigo, who ultimately, I didn't really foresee that one going like that, but yeah, obviously whether Vigo also keeps that P2, because as I say, the incident he had with Piano Jam, that might just get reported, I suspect, tonight, unfortunately, for Vigo, which could see him pick up, I don't know what would be the penalty for that, but could pick up maybe a 5-second penalty for that sort of incident, pushing a driver off the track. That certainly wasn't a clean pass. It was, in my opinion, at least as a commentator, a illegal overtake, so that could certainly harm Vigo's race result. But for now, Vigo is certainly looking very good in chasing down Robbo and Lit for what will be then that second and third position. Obviously, Arbegduri does have fresher tyres than Vigo, so Vigo will be again a bit vulnerable to Arbegduri come the later end of this race, especially the fact he's on softs and Arbegduri has gone for the mediums, which therefore means Arbegduri's tyres will hold up better and therefore will be less likely to crumble or to get overheated or whatever, and will suffer the tyre wear effect or tyre wear a lot less than here as we move towards the end of this race. So, lap 21, Piano Jam picking up 3 seconds, unfortunately for him. That's going to be a bit of a disappointment for him. Speedy Bullet down in 7th, Arbegduri for Aston Martin up in 5th, so good points from them. I think they're taking actually the most points of all the teams. They're the only team as of yet with 2 drivers inside the top 10. In fact, correct me, I will just correct that. Alfa Romeo's also got a driver inside the top 10, but here comes Arbegduri then on Vigo. Second time in this race, it's Vigo that's coming under pressure from Arbegduri, but this time Vigo defends nicely on the inside. A little bit of contact between the pair, but nothing major, and that's all okay. Keeps the car though nicely positioned through this section of track. Arbegduri doesn't look like he's pushing this one, just seems like he's waiting. Obviously, he knows as well, he's on fresher tyres, he knows he's got younger tyres, and will have the more durable tyres. He'll just know that from, knowing what tyre, obviously, Vigo is on, knowing what tyre he's on, so therefore, that situation is sort of like, how can you put it, when you know you've got something a bit better than the other driver, you just act a bit differently, I suppose. You're not willing to take as much risk. Certainly, in my opinion, you're not. You usually just hold yourself back a notch or two. And that's what right now Arbegduri will be doing. He will be just holding himself a little bit back trying to, you know, just wait for the sensible pass, and therefore will, once he finds that sensible pass, I'm sure we'll take it with both hands. And in fact, that sensible pass might be about to come as we then move on to this DRS trait. I don't think Vigo's got the DRS. Obviously, Arbegburi will have the DRS. There we go. We can see Arbegburi's DRS rear wing is open. He will be gaining down this straight. Now, does he go for it down this straight, or does he go for it in the braking zone? The answer is no. I'm a bit actually shocked by that. So, decides just to hold back for at least another lap. However, what this does allow, instead of Arbegburi becoming the one putting under pressure, it does allow now Vigo to put Robbo under pressure. And again, the mindset will just all of a sudden change, where Vigo will stop thinking about what he's got behind him and will now start to think about what is in front and ahead of him then his. And, you know, league racing is all about mindset, really. It's probably one of the toughest mental sides or aspects of the game, you know, is keeping that mental concentration. But here we go then, Vigo getting the move done, got the move done, and you know what? Arbegburi has lost a bit of his front wing in all of that, and he's actually going to now have less downforce than what the cars ahead of him have got, and that's going to really hurt his speed through the rest of this race. And yeah, I did say it's all about mindset, and ultimately, did Arbegburi make a mistake in not going for the move sooner on Vigo? You'd have to say yes, ultimately. You'd have to say he has made a mistake, and that might be a very costly mistake for Arbegburi, because it might cost him his chance of getting a podium here compared to Vigo and finishing P2. And this is brilliant for Vigo because, as I said, the mindset would have changed now a little bit. He's got past Robbo. Can he get past Litz? He's on the better tyre. Litz is on mediums, if I rightly recall. So he's certainly, yep, he is on mediums. So Litz is really pushing those tyres towards their peak, towards their point. Now, thing is, can also Vin Porsche, you know, keep on those hards? He has gone for 18 laps on them now. So I do wonder, well, I hope they're not, but I do wonder, what is the limit for the hards? Can they do the rest of this race? I think they can. Certainly for the mediums, it's more of a stretch though. Trouble is, for Litz, he's got to, well, I don't really know what he's got to do because he's in such an offset position now. 10 to 11 laps is the difference in terms of the offset between what Vigo's got on his car and what Litz has got on his car. So it is a very big offset between the two, and it's not just the offset here, it's also the fact one's a softer, well, a step softer, and the other is a step harder, so therefore naturally the softs are such a quicker tyre. And here we go then. So Vigo, will he try and make the move this time around? Will he just not waste time? Is he going to go for it? He is going to go for it. Sends on his rival, but gets the move done nice and cleanly. Very nice dive into the corner, hits the apex, and gets the position as quickly as that. And he is now going to try and storm off into the distance. Now for Vigo, as I said, potentially will have a penalty coming his way if Piano Jam reports that incident. So for Vigo, he might want to pull out a 5-second gap at least if he wants to keep this podium as well. That's going to be probably the tougher part of this ordeal, is pulling out that 5 seconds, because with what he's got, it's not necessarily easy either. Those tyres, as I say, the softs as well be reaching their limit, I suspect. So all the tyres here aren't going to be ideally in the best of shape, but certainly going to be, I suppose, the best of shape for what is around him. The only good thing, he hasn't got damage. But as I say, probably would want to pull out maybe about at least a 3 to 5 second gap there for at least if he does get a penalty. I wouldn't say it'd be any more than a 5 second for that little push, a push to pass. But it certainly would be at least 3 to 5 seconds he could pick up if it does get referred to the stewards, if that does. Right, Storms and Arbeiduri are pretty close on track. Obviously, Arbeiduri does have that damage. He's running to his front left, which therefore will be affecting his pace and is affecting his pace. So Storms has a great opportunity of now taking a P5 here. Obviously, as I was saying a bit earlier, like with Arbeiduri, you know, that move to, or that wait to sit behind Vigo could have been a real error from his part, because had Arbeiduri gone for it just straight away, you know, when he had the opportunity to do it, obviously could have worked out for him a lot better than what it actually did in the end, because what actually happened was, you know, when you don't, you know, go for it and you just wait and wait, sometimes coming down a notch or two, like, how can I think of it? The only way I can think of it is like the Ayrton Senna story. You know, apparently, you know, reason why he crashed, I think it was 88 or 89, or might have been 90, I can't really remember. It was one of them 3 Grand Prix where he's so far in the lead that he actually just switched off. You know, and he came down a notch or two and ended up in the barrier at Portier, and that's the whole story behind it. He just, you know, had a lapse of concentration there for a moment, and that's a elite professional, one of the all-time greatest drivers that have ever, you know, lived Formula One and driven in a Formula One car. And for Arbeiduri, obviously, he isn't the Ayrton Senna of certainly any sort of sport. I don't think so, without being too funny or rude. But yeah, you know, obviously, had he just maybe kept full concentration and didn't think about, you know, trying to work with Vigo, might have gone good and might not tapped the rear of Robbo in the end there at turn 1. But it is what it is. You can't undo it, ultimately, and mistakes happen. It's a game at the same time. That's what we've always got to remember as well, I think, in life. Especially, you know, when you're playing a computer game. It's a game. Never take things too seriously. Obviously, you know, we do it competitively, but always make sure when you do it, you're having fun. And that's the most important thing. Anyway, we are about to enter the final lap. Obviously, this race hasn't really got much going on. Wim Porsche still leads by 14 seconds. Vigo's done really, really well to get that gap down to 14 seconds. I think he is going to finish decently enough ahead of Robbo. Robbo might not finish on the podium here due to that penalty. So it'd be Litsu he wants to build that 5-second gap over and not get track limits himself. So a bit further down the field, there is still that fight, but I think in the end, Storms is going to have it. Does look like Arbeiduri is a bit too far back on this occasion to really get back at Storms. Then we do have a yellow flag, so well, Speedy Bullet down in 7th, a bit of a lonely one for him. No real cars around him in front, no real cars around him behind either. So that's a bit of a lonely one, and in fact, Arbeiduri has got past, so sorry, I correct my wrongs. And Arbeiduri did go for it, had it, but unfortunately lost it. So we have started now the final lap of this race, and we are now in the final part then. So, what can be said about Wim Porsche? You know, he came through the field in that sprint, you know, so brilliantly. Only took him about 7 laps to get up into the top 3. In the end, settled for 3rd. Had to settle for 3rd, I suppose. Maybe he could have got 1st, who knows. But as he starts this final tour, as he is on this final tour of the Austin circuit, In the end, he had both of his rivals, of Vigo and of Arbegduri, exactly where he wanted them. He had Vigo going down the field. He had Arbegduri vulnerable to attack. And in the end, he came out on top and took advantage, full advantage, of his rivals' wounded conditions in the end there. And he is going to win this race by about 12 seconds. Might just be under 12 by the time we get to the line. But it is going to be a very great win once again in the American circuits in North America. And he is going to win then the Austin, Texas Grand Prix. It's the race win for Vin Porsche. Vigo's going to come home P2. So here comes Vigo. It's going to be a podium for then Vigo, the AlphaTauri man. Obviously, penalties might come into play. Who knows? Robbo's going to come home in third, but it's only momentarily as Litz then picks up the final podium spot. And in then third, a further 5 seconds adrift. So if then Vigo does get a penalty, I think he might be a bit safe. Robbo fourth. Arbegduri is in fifth, takes home that sixth ahead of then Storms. Speedy Bullet crosses the line in seventh. Limited Danny in eighth. Piano Jam then will be in ninth, then crossing the line, and in fact got a bit of a battle to do so. So Lucky Eggs is going to have a look up the final corner. Can he get him on the exit? The answer is no, not quite, but will get obviously position due to whatever penalties Piano Jam incurred during that race. Then Pringles comes home in then 11th, Unsainted in 13th, who in fact Owen has actually managed to pick up the final top 10 position, which is good for him. Obviously not the final point because all points are scored all the way down into 15th and 16th, but them two drivers are unfortunately not in the race due to being disconnected and desynced. Unfortunately, due to crossplay, Speedy Bullet has DNF'd. How the hell has he done that? And it looks like he's done it in a really awkward part of the circuit. How has that happened? It looked like he DNF'd right at the hairpin, but he did cross the line in P7, so I think, well, that surely would count. I would hope it counts, because, yeah, I don't understand how come he DNF'd from the race, because he did cross the line, and I saw it with my own two eyes, and, yep, it was all in one piece, and he done it in a really odd part of the circuit, that did, because that's down in like turn 12 almost on the back straight where that DNF happened. But anyway, there's your final 2023 winner then. It is Vin Porsche taking the Tier 2 win then for the final time in Tier 2 for 2023 and before Christmas, which he'll be happy and delighted then. It is a Merry Christmas then for Ferrari and Vin Porsche, then followed by then AlphaTauri man of Vigo and Litz in third. So we'll run you through then the race result. I've already gone through the sprint result. I might go through it if we've got time. So Vin Porsche is in P1, P2 Vigo, P3 is Litz, Robbo in fourth, Arbegduri is in fifth, rounding out top five. Then we've got Storms, Limited Danny, Lucky Egg. It would be Storms. Then it would be Speedy Bullet, then Limited Danny, then Lucky Egg, then Owen, then Piano Jam in 11th, then it would be Pringles in 12th, then it would be Unsainted, Costa in 14th, then it would be AlphaTauri in 16th, and then Rum Monkey in 17th, and Witty, I'm pretty sure he was out anyway, so yeah, that would be race result. Didn't have time to go through the other sprint result, but we did go through it anyway before that. But yeah, nonetheless, driver of the day for me has to be Vin Porsche. Started obviously at the back, came through, and yep, was absolutely faultless once again. But nonetheless, until then, the new year, have a good Christmas. and a happy new year. And see you all on the, I think it's the 7th, or is it the 8th? I think it's the 8th. The 8th of January, I'm pretty sure. So just quickly looking, see if it's the 8th or the 7th. Pretty sure it's the 8th. So see you on the 8th and the 9th for Tier 1 and Tier 2 then in January. And have a great one. Then from me, your commentator, F1ology. Hope you've enjoyed the stream. If you have, then please leave a like and subscribe if you're new around here. That's always appreciated. See you all next time.